Wall Street, where the first slave market was established in 1711. So ships from the Atlantic slave trade would come in from the sea, and then they would dock here along on the East River. This is Lower Manhattan. This is where the World Trade Center used to be, just to give you a sense of where we're at. And then right over here on Wall Street is where the slave market used to be in.
New York was built on slaveocracy, started by the Dutch, handed down to the British, past the good old boys of USA. NYC Common Council passed in 1711, a law appointing a place for the more convenient hiring of slaves source. Ordained by the mayor, aldermen, and assistants of the city of New York, convened in Common Council, and it is hereby ordained that all Negro and Indian slaves that are left out to hire within the city do take up their standing in order to be hired at the Mark House at the Wall Street Slip until such time as they are hired, whereby all persons may know where to hire slaves as their occasion shall require, and also masters discover when their slaves are to be hired, and all the inhabitants of this city are to take notice hereby accordingly. Citibank was founded by Moses Taylor, banker and sugar trader, deeply involved in financing the illegal slave trade, bringing Africans into Cuba in the 19th century. In 1830s, Southern slave owners wanted to import capital into their states so they could buy more slaves. They mortgaged slaves, then turned the mortgages into bonds that marketed all over the world. First, white farmers organized new banks, usually in new states like Mississippi and Louisiana, drawing up new lists of slaves for collateral. The farmers then mortgaged them to the banks that they created, enabling themselves to buy additional slaves to expand cotton production. To provide capital for these loans, the banks first sold bonds to investors from around the globe. The bond buyers may live in countries where slavery was illegal or buy individual slaves, just bonds backed by their value. As slave-backed mortgages became paper bonds, investors owned a piece of slave-earned income. Older slave states such as Maryland and Virginia sold slaves to the new cotton states at securitization inflated prices, resulting in a slave asset bubble. Cotton factor firms like the now defunct Lehman Brothers, founded in Alabama, became successful. Lehman moved to Wall Street, and for all these firms, every transaction in slave-earned money flowing in and out of the U.S. earned Wall Street firms a fee. City Hall was built with slave labor. Slaves helped build the wall that Wall Street is named after during the colonial era. A class from Hunts Point Public School in the Bronx found a burial ground for Indian and African slaves. The city demolished to make Drake Park, while preserving a small whites-only cemetery inside the park when it was built in 1909. That cemetery, dating back to before the Revolutionary War, was deliberately kept by the city to honor the slave-owning families that controlled much of Hunts Point during the 18th and 19th century. They included the Hunts, who gave its name, and the Leggetts and the Tifleys, who still have Bronx streets named after them. In 1790, 137 slaves lived in Hunts Point. The city quietly built a monument pressured by black leaders and had a "you happy now" ceremony. But with CARICOM working for Caribbean nations seeking reparations, and the lawyer's latest win for victims of colonial forces and Mau Mau uprising, Obama, you got the land. You need to at least get a 40,000 black farmers some of that 1.2 billion settlement that they actually won and you bragged about. Now you know. No one's 120 degrees of the cipher. Add on.